Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you guys how to edit a photo like this, but most especially, I'll be teaching you guys how to edit photos like GQ, one of my favorite magazines, edit their photos. I follow GQ on Instagram and I love their work that they put out. Um, not only because of the way it looks, but even the way that the subjects always dress and just the aesthetic of everything around it just makes it look nice. Like this guy right here, it's focused on him, but you have like a beer glass and a bar. Very simple, but yet very interesting shot. And I really like that about GQ. This right here is another shot with John Legend. Very simple as well. You have him in a library type scenery, in all types of relaxation. There are common gestures that these subjects do that we all do it in our daily basis. Um, so what I'll be teaching you guys today is how to basically edit shoots like this, make them look like this, and just make your photos look better in general. And I'll be using this photo as an example. So with that said, let's get this all started. First off, I will the first thing I like to do is to duplicate my background layer. When I duplicate my background layer, I in a shot like this, I would typically convert it to a smart object. So you click right here and click on convert to smart object. And after you click on convert to smart object, the reason I'm doing that is because I want to see everything that I'm doing to my photo. It just keeps my photo a lot more organized, so that if I ever made an error, I can go back and change it. Because it is what the name says. It is a smart object, so it's able to backtrack, to go back into the photo. It turns the JPEG into almost like a smart object. I don't know any way that they explain that, but in the course of this tutorial, you would get to understand why I said that. So first things first. In this photo, I took it in my bedroom with really bad lighting. So not really too bad, but the lighting was okay. I'm not satisfied with how warm the colors are though. So I would like to cool the colors down a little bit. First thing I would do, and first thing I usually do, is go to my filter, open up the camera raw filter. In here, you can basically change a lot in the photo already in order to enhance or make it look like the way that you would have probably wanted it to look when you were shooting it. The one thing I like to change in this specific photo is the temperature, because like I mentioned earlier, it is too warm. And as you see, when I start to slowly drag the slider, you can already see the change in the photo itself. And if you get too warm or get too cold, you will realize that it's either pushing it off or just having to find that right sweet spot. And to me right here, I like to compare things to the way that my eye sees it, and the wall is white. I don't want the wall looking like brown. So I want the wall to be white. I just compare it to real objects. Um, so I'll get it as close to perfect as I can, although it won't be perfect. But to me, in this photo, 20 is not even 17 is not a bad place. But you know what? I'll go 18. And if I have to change it later, I'll always go back and change it. Then I work on my exposure. This photo, the exposure was good. I don't think there's a lot of things I need to change on it, but I will just reduce it to -10. Sometimes I just test these because I don't always know how it looks like. I think I'll just leave the contrast at 0 for now. What about highlights? I do like the highlight. I'll increase the highlight to, let's say, 25. Shadows. And I'll push down the shadows to 10. Yeah, I'll push down the shadows to 10. Next thing, what about the whites? Let me see. Does the white change anything? You know what? I'll push the white to about 30. Leave it right there. What about the blacks? Let's see the blacks. And when you're doing this, guys, always look at the whole full composition of the picture. Don't only focus on one spot. I think I'll push the blacks out a little bit. And if I need to darken anything, like I said, I can always come back. I typically don't always add clarity, but in some photos it might be good. In this photo, I might want to add the clarity later and not now in the photo because I still need to do some few editing in it. So I'll just leave that at 0. And I think that's about it for this portion. I'll just click OK, let it load, and bada bing, bada boom. A better looking photo, temperature wise. So right now, as you can see, there's a few things in this photo that might need just some little touch up. Skin texture, um, maybe vibrance of different colors, like the books. And in references, I will always just back up to these. As you can see, a lot of the books, you can actually tell the colors for what they are, and they actually blend in with the subject, but yet the subject stands out. So, and that's what I'm really trying to get to in this photo. So, first things first, I want to edit the face. When you're on a smart, when you convert your background or your layer to a smart object, you can't always use your brush tool directly on the picture, so you always have to double click on the actual picture. So I'll double click on my picture. It will take me to my old to my original photo, but that's fine. I can still use this photo to do what I need to do. Nothing special. When I get to this, I want to just clear up the skin a little bit. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but just good to make it look good. I didn't have a makeup artist to put makeup, so I leave my custom settings at these numbers. My wet is normally at 1%, my low at 99, mix at 98, flow at 100. And I don't know what this is. It's still new to the new Photoshop CC 2018, so I still yet have to figure out what that is. But you don't really need that for the mixer brush at this point, though. So I'll just go back into mixing the photo. And if you ever make a mistake, you can always just go back using your Control Z button, or just having this history right here. You can always go back to wherever you feel like you messed up at and then just fix it. Everybody makes mistakes, so keep editing using your brush tool, and always use your eyedropper tool to get the right color tone for the specific area that you're working on. You can see the photos looking a lot better. If I had to show you when we opened it, if you focus on the face, that's when I opened it, and this is how it looks now. Not a big difference, but just a little touch to make your subject look much. Since I'm satisfied with this, I would just close this because this automatically opens up as a new document when you're using a smart tool, and that's because it wants to keep that history of what you worked on. So if I close this, just accept to save it, changes to it, it would kick me back to my original photo, which is right here. But let it save up first. So it kicked me back to it. I'm back here now. And if you had to see the difference before, if you focus on the face, that's before, that's after, before and after. It's not a bad change, just to make the photo look a lot better. Okay, just in reference, let's go back to the other picture. Look back again. Another thing that I want to go ahead and edit right now is things like the eyes. So I'll create a layer, call it eyes, or eyes white. In this task, I would focus on the white in my eyes. Click on brush tool, select white on your color palette, and then make your floor or opacity really low. Right now my opacity is at 100, but my floor is at 10, which is really low. I should probably put it at 5. The lower the better, because if you had to draw the eyes to be too white, it would look fake. So it's better to just start off slow and then have to progress. And if you need to add more colors to it, you can always go back. So as you can see, just 5 is already a little bit too bright, but we'll see how it looks after the fact. Not too bad, but I'm not satisfied with that area. So go back in there, touch around that. And if you ever make a mistake, since this is a layer, you can always click the erase and just erase it. It won't affect the background or anything like that because you're just on a blank layer. I think the eye whiteness is acceptable, but I would just tone it down to about 95, or even, yeah, let's just say 90, around the 90s. That's fine. Okay, that's done with. I'll just refer back to my other image. Okay. As you can see, this photo is already looking gorgeous. It's looking great. Composition is nice. Background is good. Subject is great. So I'll just touch up on some other few things in this specific photo. The next part is the eye. So I typically touch up on the eyes because a normal human being's eye colors aren't black. So I like to lighten it up a little bit, but just a little bit, not too drastic or not too over exaggerated. So I would actually go right now, click on my adjustment layer, create new, go to click on curves, and it would create a curve layer. I would just increase it to a um very subtle, not too bright, but not too dark as well, in place where you can see the brownness in your eyes. And if you don't see it, that's still fine, but I'll leave it somewhere like this. Since that's done with, the next step is to inverse this layer because I want to paint the eye the color that I want. So if I had to inverse this layer using Control I, so Control I would inverse that layer, and it will normally kick you back to the way that your photo looked before. And then I would use my white, I will pick my brush, use my white, because white is basically painting it out. So if I take my brush, just brush over it, you start to see that the color is coming out slowly. Alright. For as many times as you do it to one eye, do it to the other eye. So 1, 2. And you can see that the eyes are the true colors of the eyes are coming out. Now if you do one thing to the other side, or you do one thing to one side, do it to the other side. So I'll back up just so you guys can see that the eye colors have changed. If need be, go back into it, change it up, add it up again. Okay, that's fine, but anybody that knows me would know that that's not my true eye color. So I tend to take the opacity or the fill level down and put it somewhere around, let's say 50, maybe even lower than that. No, I think 50 is good. 50 is not bad. If I always need to increase it, I can always come increase it later on, but I think the other one is too drastic. And it looks a little bit more blue than I would have thought. But let's leave it at 70 for now. Let's leave it at 70. Go to your add adjustment layer. Go to hue saturation, or sorry about that, go to color balance. We're gonna change the colors of his eyes because my eyes are brown and this is not the brown that I'm looking for. So I want you to clip this mask. I want you to clip this layer onto this other layer by adding a clip-in mask. So if you hold on your art button and then just hover between the two layers, you should see this arrow pop up. Click on it. That means that anything that you do on this layer only affects this specific layer. So I will go in, colors that make brown are colors like red, yellow, and things like that. So if I had to add this, you start to see that it's turning a little bit more brownish. So just pay attention to the eyes. So if I had to do this, it's a little bit more cyan. But if I had to go towards a red, and because there was already a touch of blue in it, then it adds that brown color to it. So I'll go that way, and then on the yellow, I might put the yellow down to get that brown, but not too brown. Let me just I'll do 10. It looks a lot more brown now for a true eye color. As you guys can see, to me, it looks a lot better. I think now I can actually increase that a little bit. That's a little bit over exaggerated. I'll turn that back down to 90. Yep, I think that's fine. Okay, so we're done with the eyes. Next step, I want to make the colors or the vibrance of the entire picture a lot more better than the way it is right now. So what I'll do, I'll go down to my add adjustment layer, add my vibrance, increase that up a little bit, and you start to see that, there's a change in the color tone of the entire picture. And I put it at 100 right now just for you guys to see it, but you see that the skin is more orange, the blues are more blues, and things like that. But I want to turn that down to about, let's go to 35. I think 35 is a pretty good color. If I had to turn it off, before and after, before and after. So, there is a slight change, not too bad, not too noticeable, but it does add a lot to the actual photo. So in reference, I'll just go back and then check this other photo out. As you can see in this photo, there are a lot of lights and or a lot of lights and darks in the photo. So I want to go in, and then if you see a shoe has a lot of lights and darks as well, which makes it pop a lot. Funny thing is, the subject actually has the same shoes on. So we're gonna change that. The way that I like to add my lights and darks to my photos is not by going to your camera raw filter and having to increase the highlight and things like that, because Photoshop doesn't always know what to add darkness to or lighten up. So it always just adds whatever it wants to add, and the picture comes out crazy sometimes, the picture comes out nice sometimes. So but what I'm trying to say is you don't have a lot of control over that. So I'll add up 2 new layers. I'll name one layer dark and I'll name the other layer light. So after creating your light and dark layer, we're going to add highlights to this photo. So I like to always choose the lightest color in the picture and the darkest color, and most of the time it's normally black and white. So I always just put one of my colors to the darkest dark and the other one to the lightest light, which is white. So if I click on light on my light layer, press my X on my keyboard to switch my colors, I'll get my white. White pops up. So if you press X on your keyboard, it switches through your two options, which is your foreground and your background color. So right now on my light layer, I'm going to take my white color, go to my blending mode, click on soft light, zoom into my image, and I will literally just start to paint where I feel like there should be light coming through the subject. So, or just add up the lighting. So like right here, just paint through it some more. Here's some of the lighting got messed up because of the blending mode. If you ever make a mistake, you can always just go back or even erase it. I think my flow is too much, so I'll turn that down to 5. Just keep painting where you feel like it should be wider. Keep painting. can see, the photo looks a lot more better. You can see that the subject pops out a little bit more than before, which is what you're trying to get to. You can see that the highlights on his face are a lot more noticeable now. And the reason I did that is because if, as you can see, even on the GQ photos, you see that, there are a lot of highlights and lights and darks and things like that, which is what really brings out the composition of a picture. So the highlight on the face, the highlight on the hair, the hands, even objects around you like the table and everywhere else. So it's good to really bring that out. Sometimes just the basic touch up on the photo doesn't always do that. So this step is very essential to get into the nit and grit of the where it's dark in the photo and where it's really light. So since I've done a lot on the light part, I'll go now to my dark. I clicked on my dark layer. I'll switch my color right now to black by just pressing the X on my keyboard. And if you don't have the black selected, you can always just select the black. Um, it just needs to be black. It doesn't matter. It just needs to be black, and the black is black that you have on your palette. So either on the far left side or the far right side. I normally choose the far right side because um, I feel like that's where is the most dark. Right here, I can see that there's a color change from white to black. So I never really choose that. I don't just trust it. So you can even have trust issues with the palette sometimes. But with that said, let's get back into it. So with the blacks now, I'm going to do exactly same thing I did for the whites. So I'll go in and paint before I do that, I forgot one step. So go here, change your blending mode to soft light, and then go back, start to add darks to your image. And if you feel like it's too drastic, you can always erase it or just use your history tool to undo and things like that. So same thing as I was doing for the light parts, just go in and then touch up where you feel like it needs to be dark, because and not everybody's gonna always know that. It takes a lot of practice, but it's something that if you develop very early, you would appreciate, because it's what makes any photo a photo, the light and dark of a photo. So very essential. So as you can see now, you can see that the photo looks a lot better now. Heck of a lot better. I'm just gonna keep editing though. Okay guys, I think that looks pretty good now. I decided to save the best for last, which is the shoes. Not really the best things, but um, the reason I didn't want to touch on that because I wanted to focus on the skin tones first and how they correlate with each other. So right now I'm just gonna focus on the shoes. I'm still gonna use the same two layers that we created earlier. So if I zoom into the shoes right now, we have to look at John Lennon's. you see that, there's a lot of highlights and a lot of great darks in the photo of the shoes that makes it look really nice. So I want to go in on my dark, just paint over the dark. The darks aren't really gonna matter in this. The darks aren't really gonna make a huge difference, or you won't see a huge difference in the darks for now. It's when the lights pop up that you would see how different the shoes look. So at the darks where they need to be. Go to your light now. Switch my color to white. Go in and paint that. Close up, it may look like it's over exaggerating, but once you zoom out, you'll realize that you barely even did much to it. And if not, you can always go back and change it. But I'm not gonna focus too much on it. But as you guys can see, the shoes look a lot different. I just want to go back to a really old. That's how the shoes looked before. That's how they look now. So it looks almost like you polished the shoe to a whole brand new shoe. So if there's anything else you need to do on it, just go ahead, touch it up again. But I think that was enough, but just for the fun of it. And as details you want to get, you can go in and really, really, really get details that would make it pop a lot more. Because the little things are the things that matter. I think the shoes look pretty good now. I think the photo in general looks pretty good now. There's one other thing I need to touch up that would also add a lot of composition to this photo. I think the lamp needs a little bit of work as well. I mean, you guys can already see that the whole lamp already changed drastically. I just go back because I don't like that white that I put on it. The white looks pretty good. Never mind. So, as you can see, the lamp looks really, really nice right now, but we can still add a little bit more to it. Get some darks up there. In comparison to some of the GQ photos, I think this looks pretty good composition wise, everything wise, and things like that. So for the final touches, I want to go down here, click on my layer, and the reason I made a smart object out of this is because I can click right back at it, on my camera raw filters because it told me that in this picture I added the camera raw filter. So I can just click on it and it shows me what I did to it. I still have all the settings that I put on it, but I'm going to change something new. I'm actually going to go to detail. I'm going to sharpen up the picture now because that's one other thing that I noticed in the GQ photos. Sharpen it up to about 90. Some pho- um, some photographers and cameras already do that automatically, but this specific photo didn't have that, so that's why I'm adding it right now. And I've also noticed that there's some grain in the GQ photo. So if I had to add this to about, I don't add too much, but if I had to add this to about 30 or even less than that, let's do 25 just to be safe. 28, 27 won't hurt. Boom. As you can see now, the picture looks great. A little bit of grain in it. Little things left and right. Go back. I'm going to reduce the grain up. So I might not even put any grain on this picture. I won't put any grain. Yeah, I'll reduce the grain all at once. I'll just make the picture a lot sharper. I think the picture looks good like that. I don't think I need grain added to this photo. The other thing that I might also do is go to individual colors like pink and things like that and just make them brighter. But I can do that after this recording. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys learn how to edit like GQ or even learn some few tips and tricks that can help you make your photos look a lot better. I mean, if you look at it, we started off from here, crappy old photo, to something looking like this. So, a big drastic change. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on my next video.